Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Smile Through It All.
Hello everyone, how are you? Sorry we didn't get the time to make the next part of the journey series. I was a little ill. I had to go through a small surgery last week, but I'm recovering now and I should be good to go next week, and hopefully then we will start making videos more regularly. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. And in the meantime, I think you've poured in all your questions. We got more than 25 questions. We have shortlisted a few, the ones that many of you all have asked, and I hope to answer that today, and I hope that's helpful for you guys as well.
Yeah. So this time I will be asking the questions to Spurti, and of course we both will still give our perspective on it to the best of our abilities, and let's see how this goes.
Thank you.
Okay, here's the first question. How was it for you as a family member when I got detected?
To be honest, it was very overwhelming. It went too fast. The detection as well as admission in the hospital, we hardly had any time. So Aniket had been to the hospital after the visit to the HNO. Because he had a small lump behind the ear. It was very small, and I really didn't think it would, be something related to cancer or some long-term illness. But they told us that the WBC count was too high and that he needs to go home and get back to the hospital just within 1 hour. So we didn't really have time to digest. And me and our 11-month-old then went with him to the hospital in the car, and they did not allow us inside because it was COVID, and it is also because of the area that all of this is. It was the Kopf clinic in Heidelberg. And on the way back, it kind of hit me a bit more that he didn't return back with us from the hospital. And I was also on a call with the doctor, who at the moment told us that they don't have more information. They need to do a lot of tests. They think it could be tuberculosis or it could be leukemia or anything like that, but what stage, how long it takes, they had no clue. So it was shocking. Yeah, and me getting back home alone with the kid, it was something I had never imagined. Yeah, it was difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Second question. How did you stay motivated to help me in my journey?
I think the support that I had from our family members, as well as on different cancer-related groups, stem cell groups, and having a lot of educated or well-qualified doctors in the family who told me that yes, it is blood cancer, but I need not worry too much, because these days medically technology has evolved so much, and the prognosis for AML, or the kind of cancer that Aniket had, was pretty good. That gave me a lot of strength. Also, I did a lot of reading, and reading about success stories related to cancer, or seeing Aniket as a person like really brave handling all of this. And also our little son gave me the motivation to help him, and I knew we would come out of this stronger.
I think also in terms of treatment, Heidelberg University Clinic is also one of the best places to get treated for this, for the kind of cancer that I had. And at some stage of my treatment, because some things weren't working out as we had hoped for, we were planning to go to India and resume the treatment. But then the doctors in India, when they realized where I was getting treated, said that we are already in the best place for this sort of illness, and they would not recommend that we come to India. Of course, they will handle it. They know everything about it, but they recommended me to stay back and try to work things out. So these things really motivated us, and just the confidence in us rose with all these positive factors around us. Okay. Third question, did you guys take support from mental health specialists?
Initially, yes. So the moment I informed my employer at SAP, since both of us are employees at SAP, they kind of wanted to help us with this journey, and they offered a therapist free of cost from the company, especially related to health and long-term illness. So I had 1 or 2 sessions, but at that point of time, I had a very young kid, and me kind of being alone here with Aniket. So I didn't have so much of time to invest into therapies. I always used to talk to Aniket, who was almost like a specialist in terms of therapy, because we were always quite open with each other about how we are feeling. I would also, although he is the patient himself, I would say I'm extremely scared and I'm not able to sleep and those kind of things. And he was always there by my side, and also a lot of friends. And yeah, I mean, if I had the time at that point, I would have definitely gone for therapy or a specialist. And I would absolutely recommend anybody in that situation to do so. But now things are better. And yeah, I think I would also, if needed, I would visit a specialist or a mental health specialist or a therapist if needed on this regard. You have something to?
It's time is one thing, but if you really need it, then at that point, I know we didn't need it, but then if you really need it, then you should make time for it, because mental health is as important as your physical well-being. So yeah, it was very similar with me. I think we supported each other pretty well. At that point, I didn't really feel the need to speak to a professional about this. There were no pent-up emotions or suppressed issues that we needed a release for at that point. Even now, but then anytime in the future, if such a situation arises, I think we would be would definitely take up that option. How was it with work for both of us during my illness?
Yeah, so talking about me, my employer was extremely supportive of the whole thing. I really did not take a lot of vacations because we were just back from parental leave at that point. And since this is a long-term illness, I did not want to use up all my vacations in one shot, more of per need basis. So spoke to my manager and kind of had an agreement that I would work early in the morning or late hours when I'm back from the hospital. But whenever there was an important meeting, I would also take in the ward, and he would listen to me in the background as well. And things worked out. And SAP is definitely very supportive of health or mental health, and employee comes first. So I'm very happy that things worked out. Yeah. Anything to add about yours as well?
Yeah, I mean, initially we didn't know where this is going. So I was on sick leave for, I think, 2 weeks before we realized what was going on. But yeah, the moment I told my then manager about this, he was very supportive. He said, take all the time you need. This is a serious situation and you need to take it one step at a time. And we used to have regular calls with regular updates, and yeah, it's been the same throughout. And at some point I decided this year, at the beginning of this year, when I was feeling more stable, I decided to join back. We have we have a program at SAP. I'm sure it should also be available at other companies too. It's called Wiedereingliederung. This roughly translates to return to work. Yeah. This means that if you're on sick leave for more than 6 weeks, that's a long-term sickness, then they give you an option that you don't have to start working 100% right from the day one, but instead you can opt to work on
specific days, like
intervals. Not specific days, but percentage wise. So start working part-time slowly, and then start increasing the number of hours you work per day or per week. And if you're at the end of it, if you're feeling up to it, if you think you can work full-time, then you inform your manager and also your health insurance that you're now back to working full-time, and you can start doing that. That was really helpful, because after close to 2 years, to 2.5 years, to suddenly sit in front of a monitor for 6 to 8 hours wouldn't have been easy. Also to cope up with all the new things that have happened in that span. So this really helped me cope up with it, and then it worked out. Yeah. How was it with childcare?
At that point when he was detected, Liam was just 11 months. He still didn't have any place he had a place in the cripper, but it had not yet started. Yeah. So about 1 month, it was me taking care of him all the time. My cousin used to join us to the hospital and, just accompany Liam in the car while I used to visit Aniket or drop food to him, but I was mostly with Liam at that point because he was not allowed inside the hospital and so on. After some time, his kindergarten resumed, and I had the Eingewohnung period, which I had to do alone because Aniket was hospitalized, and it took longer than usual. But as time went by, he was attending daycare in the day. And in the evenings, I would either take him with me to the hospital and just drop off food at the reception and go back. That was okay, just not visiting Aniket. And on the weekends, we had a lot of friends who supported us. So we basically tried to leave him with people who had kids of his age so that, he doesn't feel the difference and he enjoys the 1 or 2 hours while I would go and visit Aniket at the hospital. Also because at that point he was still breastfed. So I had to anyway return around 3 to 4 hours after, dropping him or dropping food at the hospital or visiting Aniket. So we did receive a little bit of support from friends, and the Kita helped that he was there for almost the whole day after he turned 1.
Okay, next question. What are the changes you guys did in your current routine with respect to food lifestyle? Any tips?
With respect to food, I'm very careful with what goes into our bodies, not just with him, with the entire family. Because of so much reading, we try to get organic products as much as possible. Absolute no to red meat and,
absolute no, but
red meat
we have
almost
reduced it.
Also
quite a lot.
no alcohol or nutritious food, mostly home cooked meals. We hardly go out, not that we don't. He needs more quality or home cooked food, and the junk has been reduced to a big extent.
I think sugar also plays a big role. I have come across a lot of articles and blogs which say that sugar is like a fuel for cancer, any sort of cancer. So the more sugar you reduce in your diet, you're already fortifying yourself against the disease. But it's not like we used to consume a lot of sugar before. Maybe 10 years back I used to, but just in terms of the amount of sugar that goes in my coffee, for example. But we were never addicted to chocolates, I think. But even that we are mindful of what we put inside our bodies. And
also with the chemicals, we try to use, the dermatological variants of the moisturizers and plastic-free products, those kind of things.
Yeah. Also, my skin was impacted pretty badly because of the chemo and mostly because of the radiation therapy. And so we consulted a dermatologist to recommend what is best for my skin so that it doesn't have any negative effects or gives it the nutrition that it needs to heal. Yeah, it's a good word, to heal. Also, anything that comes out of plastic cover that's ultra processed is a big no-no for us. Of course, sometimes we are helpless when it comes to Liam. Unfortunately, that when we go out, sometimes in a hurry, we do give him
packet snacks or
chocolate bread or something like this, or choco croissant. But apart from that, we try our best to cook meals at home and have it as fresh as possible. Well, that's the changes we have done, and hopefully they have good long-term effects. Next question. How was it with Liam and the bonding? Did he understand anything that was going on?
I think there was a lot of separation anxiety. He just did not understand at that point why he is suddenly missing from home and is only on video calls. So he was always clingy to me. It was the COVID season, so that made it worse. Apart from me, he hardly met people except on the weekends with friends who have kids. He hardly was in contact with other people. That made it a little, intense for him. But he was super excited the moment he used to see Aniket on camera. And I think after a few months or his first birthday or the first visit after the first set of chemo, Aniket had changed to a big extent in terms of he had shaved his head and there was a little bit of bloating on his face. He looked visibly different, and I was worried that Liam won't identify, but that was not the case. He immediately ran to him and hugged him in spite of the mask, in spite of the shaven head. Yeah, the bond was still strong.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. It wasn't easy at all. On one side, Spurti was struggling with a confused, clingy baby who did not understand what was going on, and his way of coping with it was sticking to his mom all the time. And on the other side, I was in the hospital, missing both of them, and just going through the treatment and hoping to recover ASAP and come back home. Yeah. Another thing, I didn't shave my head. My hair fell off.
No, but
But
when it started dropping more, you
yeah,
also
but
took it off.
but
Yeah, that's what
eventually,
I mean. Okay.
what else? Yeah, I mean, that was it. So, like Spooty said, it was on my birthday, on his birthday, that I saw him after almost 2 months. And I couldn't also just meet, like carry him or hug him or whatever. I had to still maintain distance. I was in a PPE kit with a mask and everything. And just fortunate that I got to see him on his birthday. But
Yeah, it also came with special permissions and
yeah.
extra precautions from our side. But yeah,
Yeah.
it
I mean, if I have to look at the positive side of it, then I would say that it was good that he wasn't a little bigger or a little more mature. Then it would be even tougher, I think, to explain things to him, to make him understand what was going on, not to scare him, but also keep him up to date. In this situation, it was a little easier to handle him emotionally, I think. So, yeah. Okay. Next question. How about the finances? What was covered? What wasn't? How did we deal with it?
I think you can take this up.
Yeah, financially, thank God it wasn't too difficult for us, because
Most of it was.
Spurti still managed to work 100% throughout this journey. And so we had one steady salary at all times. So with me, when I was in sick leave, how the health insurance in Germany works is they sponsor up to 80 to 85% of your last paycheck for up to 1 or 1.5 years. They will only continue sponsoring you if you have recovered, gone back to work, and then you are now sick with a totally different disease. Then they would start from scratch again. But otherwise, they say this is the limit. So until then, it was all okay. But after that, what happened after they said we will stop in the next after 3 months, is when we approached or rather Spurti approached the employment office or the Agentur für Arbeit, whose responsibility it was to take over paying out my sickness pay or salary or whatever, rather sickness pay. Or you could also term it as unemployment money. But it wasn't that straightforward, because if you're unemployed, then you should be unemployed. But then SAP still offered to hold on to my job. Yeah, to keep my job, to keep my position open. Whenever I feel better and I'm healed and I'm back, I could resume where I left off. So this situation was not definitely a
It was not
cakewalk.
unemployment, it was contradiction, right?
Yeah, so I was getting the unemployment benefits, but I was not unemployed. So it was a very tricky situation. And any situation with the administration in Germany requires a ton of paperwork and also a lot of bureaucracy, where you have to go to the offices, fill in the same form maybe about 10 times, and still they say, no, you have to do it again. And with everything that was happening, Spurti had to also
Fight for this almost.
also fight for this and go to the office, to the Agentur für Arbeit office, and fill out the forms and talk to them and convince them about the situation. And I think after close to 2 months, things finally worked out. And then my sickness pay started coming in from the Agentur für Arbeit. And this is, let's say, this is without limit. So as long as I'm ill or unemployed, this payment would keep coming in. But yeah, after 2 years, I decided to go back to work. That is this year. And then SAP took over. This situation is
And the
also
insurance also covered your health in the hospital, right?
correct. So all the expenses this is also a very expensive affair, right? To get chemotherapy and all the expensive drugs that are involved. What is that? Radiation, therapy, the stay, the medication, everything is extremely expensive. But the insurance again took care of everything. The only thing I had to pay for was 10 euros a day for the stay. Every day I stayed, I had to pay 10 euros. Apart from that, it was nothing.
Just a disclaimer there. I mean, you did not have any visa issues. You're already a permanent resident here or a citizen here. So if only in such cases the insurance also continues to take over, and you have an additional advantage if there is still a working member in the family. So they continued this only.
They could somehow link my health insurance to Spurti's. Also with the sickness pay from the Agentur für Arbeit, it was something very similar. I was virtually dependent in terms of health insurance. And so, yeah, somehow things worked out. It's not impossible, but it's always definitely an advantage if there is already another working member in the family. Rather than just one person working, then it would be a much difficult affair. Okay. Let's go to the next question. More about nutrition, post-therapy care, and precautions.
I think Aniket at that point had lost a lot of weight, and we got a special nursing care unit who would visit us at home to make sure that he got the right nutrition. There was a nutrition bag connected to a port where he got, his essential nutrients along with a little bit of fat as well. And so that his weight comes up to a level that matches his BMI index.
So what had happened after I finished my stem cell transplant and came out was my immune system was doing pretty decent. Of course, I couldn't meet a lot of people. I had to be still isolated at home, and things had to be sanitized just to be on the safer side. But what wasn't working out was my appetite. Right, I could only eat very small quantities of food for every meal, and my weight kept dropping after that. And at some point, it reached anorexic levels, which after the doctors saw this, they said this could lead to other complications. And so then they decided to put a port. It was put right here. It's called a Hickman catheter, or just a port with a pipe coming out of it. And this pipe would then be connected to nutrition bags. Ingredients of these bags were recommended by my doctors based on my blood report of what minerals or what was deficient or what was low, and also a lot of fat was included in it so that I get external nutrition and gain some weight. This lasted for almost 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's all a blur now, but yeah. And the tough part was the bag had to stay for almost close to 15 hours. And this would start in the evening around 5 o'clock and go on till about 8 or 9 in the morning. And the main issue was these bags had to be prepared every day, because they came to me by post, but they still had to add extra ingredients into it to make it ready for me. So then we had to sign up with a local nursing care. So every day somebody would come home, a nurse would basically come home, put in everything that was needed, do any cleaning that needs to be done at the port, and then connect it and put it in a bag. And I had to basically carry that backpack around with me for the next 15 hours. This was not an easy time, because going out, coming every day, we had to be home in the evenings, and we hardly could go out. It was just a few hours a day that we could, and it wasn't an easy time for us. So yeah. After that, when they saw that my appetite started improving on its own and I reached a certain safe level, they took it off, and I haven't needed it since then.
Next question. How did we manage to shift houses at that point? I think at that point it was bad timing. The good part is we had bought our own house, which we were really looking forward to, but the timing was really bad because It was just a month after, he was in the hospital. So was not there for the housewarming, as well as we were handing over our apartment to the tenants at that point, and we had already provided a date for them to move in, which was very close, and it was not right on our part to say, we are in a situation, we will not move out now. So we stuck to the deadlines, gave it back to them, and hired a moving company and moved everything here. It was a little difficult here because this house was not complete, and it was peak winter, and I was here with a infant all alone. But yeah, over time, things started getting better while he was in the Kita. I started surprising Aniket each time he came home after a set of chemo. A room or a floor used to be ready. So that was something that pushed me to get the house, moving and ready to something we manifested this house. So,
Yeah,
that's how we
it was
did.
really shocking, to be honest. With all that was already on her shoulders, she still managed to find time to set up a room. Every time I would come home, that would be once a month, once in 2.5 weeks, I think, yeah. And every time there would be something new, something exciting for me to see, something new in the garden, maybe something in the guest room, something in the hobby room. So she really put in everything to keep me positive and happy. It was definitely not easy for me to sit in the hospital and watch or listen to everything that was happening here. Was very helpless. There were a lot of friends who came in and supported us during the moving process, but day-to-day life, she still had to do it on her own with a baby. But yeah, another thing that maybe it really helped in this journey throughout was that she can drive. It's a special skill, I understand, but then just being in a foreign country where you can drive by yourself and makes your life so much easier, especially when you have a baby. Coming to the hospital, just have to pick up Liam for whatever reason, some emergency, just sit in and go and finish whatever you need to do. So definitely recommend anyone who moves, not just to Germany, to anywhere abroad, to make sure you have a driving license. Whether you need a car or not, you can of course decide on that based on your requirements. You can always rent a car. And unless you're living in a big city with very good transportation, having a car and a driving license is definitely a must. But that was really
Very
a
helpful.
boost.
Yeah. Also in the peak winters, especially,
Yeah.
your kid cannot or would not like to be in a stroller all the time, waiting in a bus station or waiting for the taxi or tram. And we also live in the suburbs, right? So there were situations when there was an emergency in the middle of the night. Liam's temperature went up and the ambulance refused to come because for them it was not an emergency, and I had to really drive 45 kilometers to take him to the hospital. And I've only been thankful that I can drive and do all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Why do we see so many people with cancer these days? Whom should we first approach to get routine checks or get into the registry? It's a very interesting question. I think it's definitely to do with our lifestyles of how we all have become slaves to
Chemicals, yeah.
and anything that can be quickly available, anything that is fast. It's very difficult to say. Sometimes I also get the feeling that environment plays a huge role in how your body acts or reacts. A lot of things with my health, at least, have changed since I've moved to Germany. Some people say it could be something to do with the remains of or the undisposed bombs or anything that's in the soil or in the air from all the explosives that were used during the World War. It could just be something I eat, something that's available in the supermarket, could be pesticides, I don't know. But then I do see some changes in my health after I moved here. And not just me, we are finding out a lot of issues just related to leukemia, because a lot of people contact us after seeing the videos. Some of them don't have the courage to speak, but then some of them saw the videos and they wanted to reach out and they wanted help. And we see a lot of Indians who have moved to Germany, and within a span of a few months or a year, they have fallen ill with a chronic illness. And this is something that is alarming. Not to put Germany down at any level, but
I think
maybe-
it happens everywhere, but we are just aware of this. Yeah.
Correct. What was the question? I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, what
yeah.
can you do about it?
So I would say, again, stick to a healthy diet, go out for walks. What we Indians don't do when we move abroad is we don't get a lot of vitamin D, I think, because when it's sunny, it's really sunny, and when it's cold, you don't see the sun. And we usually tend to stay indoors. So it would be nice. One recommendation would be to expose yourself to the sun, or at least
20 minutes a day.
20 minutes a day, or in the early mornings, or take vitamin D supplements. That is one thing which really, I think, helps your body cope up with everything that's happening. With respect to routine checks, yeah, I mean, age is definitely age definitely matters. I would say once you reach 30, you have to be a little more precautious of what signals your body is sending you. Any small sign, any change in your regular routine, any physical changes on your skin or anywhere should never be ignored.
Especially lumps.
Yeah, especially lumps or any recurring infections, or something that you're not used to, that's happening for the first time. Always get a simple check done. Go to the doctor, and if necessary, just get a blood check done. Just make sure that if, God forbid, you might be catching something, at least you might be getting something, you might at least catch it at a very early stage. Yeah, that is definitely something that I would recommend.
Okay, 19. Next question. What about future tests for Liam and if it's genetic? Yeah, we consulted doctors regarding this, especially because in most of the reports it was written that Aniket had a genetic aberration. So we are very careful about Liam. His pediatrician says there's nothing to worry at the moment. And when he was detected, they asked me to, breastfeed as much as possible. So I went on for about 2.5 years, while initially I thought I would stop at 1. They said the mother's genes could dominate because then I did not have any cancer history in my family, so that would be better for him. Also, we take care of his diet, and I'm sure we will do more routine checks for him as he grows up. Show him this video, probably explain why it is so important, especially because it is in the family.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's become the word cancer has become very, very common now. It's not something to be really. You should be worried about it. It's definitely serious, but then technology is advanced so much, medical science, that most of it can be treated if detected early. And it's very important to make the youngsters aware of these situations. Again, definitely sign up to DKMS. If you're in India, to Datri, also DKMS India. Just make sure that you are part of the registry, and whenever a need comes, then please donate your stem cells and help somebody have a better future.
Once again, it is a non-invasive, very easy process that can save lives. So please do it if possible.
Yes. Okay. I think that's all the questions we have for today.
Thank you so much. Sorry for the super long video, but we had too many questions and we tried to fit most of it in. And if you like the video, please don't forget to like, share it with your friends for awareness. And thank you once again. Please subscribe as well. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.